Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Tony's podcast. And our fireside chat today is none other than Norman Farrar. Literally, I have become your disciple. I was joking around. We're talking about super fan. We're talking about, groupie, in the 1 year, literally, thank you for entering our lives. You've just made such an impact.
Oh, you're very welcome. I'm glad to be part of your life.
Tell me, how has it been the 1 year? Like it's been almost really since you started this whole concept. What's really the feedback that you've really gotten?
Yeah, the concept, the cigar, happened April the 8th, I think. So that's when the idea came. And it's beyond my wildest expectations. So we've got a community, which we set out to just do some stuff on Facebook, and these lives on Facebook ended up becoming the podcast. So it's been interesting to see how many people that are part of the community now, how many people are engaging with us, how many people tune in. And what's amazing is seeing the numbers change. Like we've had a steady increase, let's say on YouTube, and it's all organic. There's no paid ads, and it's just great seeing. So first of all, I guess the biggest impact was being able to have both of my boys work with me. So Kelsey works on Lunch with Norm. Hayden works on I Know This Guy. And yeah, that's kind of cool. Like just being able to bring them in where we would have never had the chance in the past. And then just meeting everybody and making friends. Like we've made so many new, really cool friends that, they are friends. You start talking to them, the people, like I have conversation. Marcia, for a great example, of people that are part of the podcast, you'll see that she's a lady. Alan, there's so many people that we talk to, and you just get to know people that you had no idea who they were, or for the most part, many of them who they were last year, and you get to affect their lives. So, and I hope in a positive way.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. It's been amazing. And it's exactly what you've talked about before, but it's not something that, hasn't been said before. It's really about content is king. You know what I mean? And that's where you've really succeeded. And what's your process in terms of when it comes to content?
Well, that was important. And it's interesting because I'd go on to podcasts, I'd be guest on a podcast, and I got to talk about, press releases or specific things that I'd be working on. But with your own podcast, you got to create the content. You got to dig into all sorts of other areas. You got to know other experts in the business, like which you might not. Maybe I don't know anything about PPC, or maybe I don't know anything about branding. I could bring them on and have them talk about it, which is a lot of fun. So you get that content. So first of all, it's a live stream. The second portion of this is transcribing everything. So everything's transcribed.
Yeah.
And then we repurpose it. So you probably see that. So Kelsey repurposes it. We work on really 3 social media platforms. And then we mix it up like with any other social content. There'll be surveys, quotes, just pictures. And then you'll get into the meat, any updates or stuff like that. Plus, of course, the videos that come out. And then we're going to be relying more on people doing guest blogs. So we get other people's viewpoints on what's happening in the industry. So yeah, with all that, you get so much content, you really don't know what to do with it. So I leave that up to Kelsey.
No, he does an amazing job. Sometimes I'm definitely talking to Kelsey more than I'm talking to you. Let me ask you this. I mean, now that maybe the buzz is kind of worn off a bit and there's competition coming, if it's not out there already, what are your views on Clubhouse?
Yeah, straight from the hip.
Yeah.
Have you seen me on Clubhouse in the last few weeks?
That was my next question. Because it takes so draining.
Yeah. And you know what? I take a look at, well, when you look at Clubhouse, just as you would look at Amazon or your brand, you have to know who is your demographic. And there's definitely there's a lot of people that want to come on and learn Amazon. And I can see where Kevin King, who's got Freedom Ticket, would be on there and he's talking and people listen and they could sign up for the course. He doesn't push it, but when people see and click on the Instagram, they see what he's all about. I could see Rich Goldstein, who's a patent attorney, because people need that. I'm sure I can get business if I stayed there, but I took a look at it and I was almost on Clubhouse 20 hours one week.
Wow.
And I sat there and I went, what did I get out of it? My time is worth X. Yeah. If I put 20 hours into doing something else, what would I get? Now there's a lot of people, there's a ton of people out there that, would just rip me for saying, oh, Clubhouse. I believe that Clubhouse has its place. And it's perfect, especially if you have a podcast where you can say, hey, Mr. and Mrs. Guest, why don't you join us over in Clubhouse? And now we can have some really interactive, conversations with people that were listening or people on Clubhouse. That's a fit. But if I'm going on there just because I want to get a bunch of influencers or look like I have tons of influencing, that's just like my Instagram account. I don't care if I have 1 or 1,000, as long as it's built organically and people want to hear what I have to say. That's the same on Clubhouse. I'm not going to spend hundreds, and I mean that, hundreds and hundreds of hours to gain followers. I know my business is not being an influencer. I may influence some people's decisions, or people may want to hear what I have to say. If it's of interest, but I don't care if I have 1 follower or 10,000 followers. If that is something like you're selling a course, digital asset, whatever it is, there's room for Clubhouse. But for me, I've canceled. I haven't gone onto Clubhouse for 2 weeks now. And I know lots of people that I talk to on a regular basis that are on there every single day, morning, noon, and night, even into the early morning.
I've been at 3 in the morning. If I can't sleep, I've gone on to Clubhouse and the same people are still there. I don't know how they can do it, literally.
I don't know. But, it's, again, I might want to be in the pizza business, or I might like pizza, but I don't have to own the business. I don't know who my demographic. I might be selling, gourmet pizza, but if I'm in the wrong neighborhood, people can't afford the pizza, then it makes no sense. And that's how I feel with Clubhouse, is that you can go out, get the demographic, get people interested maybe in the podcast, but at the end of the day, when you have, and this is the other thing, the overabundance of people. So I was in my last Clubhouse meeting. I heard 3, really, 1 completely wrong, but 2 others that had just different strategies. And now we're having arguments about what strategies works when they all work. So you'll see, oh, you got 50 people on the panel. How are you going to get, if you have a message, how are you going to get it out there? Yeah. And what I find is that some people just dominate.
Yeah.
You can't get that word in because they're just dominating anything, that you're trying. As soon as somebody asks a question, boom, they're out there talking. So I don't know. It's, social media, it's narcissistic enough. And this is just another layer of it.
I hear you. We don't need a lot more drama. Literally, there was somebody going on there recently talking about she had paid a high-level seller a lot of money for some help and stuff, and the person wasn't even responding to their emails. And it's like, my time is limited like yours. And I'm thinking, do I have time to listen to all that drama? I really need strategies that are going to help my business grow, or I can go spend my time somewhere else and be more productive.
Yeah. There's going to have their time and place. I still think that it'll be good if people want to do branding, but if you're going to promote your brand, I would spend more time on Amazon Live or Amazon Posts, Amazon Live if you want, the conversation in the live aspect, but then just constantly having all these people, and I don't know, it's a lot of work. That's all I can say. And for that amount of work, what can I do for that amount of work?
Well, it's funny you mentioned Amazon Live, because that was really part of my next question. Now that the $1 billion summit is over, and for those of us who aren't doing $1 billion, like what are some of the takeaways from that? And especially, I know this. I remember Carlos was mentioning about Amazon Live, and he's really experimenting with that. Is that something you've really gotten into as well?
Yeah, and it was because of Carlos.
Mhm.
Carlos Alvarez is a very sharp cookie, or what is it? A sharp pencil, maybe, because cookies don't really get that sharp. So no, I don't mean to insult you, Carlos. But anyways, yeah, he's got a lot of tricks and tips that I have no idea what he's doing, right? However, the little nuggets that he has given me on how to, just use Amazon Live, and that's basically get Live Creator and just start doing it.
Yeah.
People aren't looking for, another shopping network. They're looking for real people, even if you get your influencers to do it, but just real people talking about your product, or do it like talking about your features, your benefits. Like if you're selling bully sticks, well, what are some other areas in the pet niche that might be of interest? Any pet news that might have come out that could affect you, your audience, or your brand. So, and especially now that Amazon's allowing these follows, right?
Yeah.
So when Amazon Posts first came out, there was no followers. You did see them on Amazon Live, but now you're starting to see it. And if you can build these followers up, what's Amazon going to do next? How are you going to? And the way that you're allowed to target, like whenever you go live on Live, anyways, your followers get notified, which is kind of cool.
What other takeaways were there from the $1 billion summit? Is it just more the networking, whether virtual or in person, or were there any other nuggets that you feel that would be relevant?
Well, I've got to be very careful, because on the $1 billion summit, I'm a speaker, right? I was a speaker.
Yes, right.
And I have a very strict non-disclosure.
Okay.
So, and I don't want, Kevin and I are really good friends, and I don't want him to watch your podcast and go, what is he doing?
Oh, no.
So
I don't want to, tread into any areas, that we're gonna, that won't be appropriate. Let me move into a few other areas that I think would really make sense. What about in terms of how do you feel about the transparency program? Are you currently involved in that yourself? Do you recommend it?
Yep. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I do. If you asked me a few years ago, I probably would have said no, but I have seen, and it depends on the product. So first of all, if you're FBM, like, what is the need? There is none. Mm-hmm. If you're FBA, and well, first of all, I like to go back to the brother program, right? Which is the Project Zero. So Project Zero, so many people really don't understand what it is. It is I'm sure you've heard this. Oh, if somebody comes on your listing, you can just knock them off. You have that control. Well, no, you don't. And how do you get approved for Project Zero? You have to at least have got one claim approved. So if somebody has come on and done a copyright infringement, or you've noticed that they're on your listing and you can prove it's a copyright and it's approved, that's one way to get into Project Zero. But after that, people that are misusing Project Zero to take people out of their listing, like let's say Amazon's a free market and they're bringing on your product, and they can, and you now send them a cease and desist order, right? They can come right back at you, and talk to Rich Goldstein about this. This can backfire worse than, trying, like everybody says, oh, send them a cease and desist order. Be very, very careful. and make sure, what you're saying is, can be backed up. But anyways, long story longer, is that if you're doing, or you enter into project zero and it's not a copyright or a counterfeit, then you really don't have the ability to knock them off. They can come back after you. So you have to be careful. But the sister program, Transparency, Amazon's taken up a few notches. I don't know if they've changed this over the last couple months, but they wanted to step this up over the last 5-6 months. And they were reaching out to everybody saying, hey, how would you like to be part of the Transparency program? At the time, I had the perfect client. One listing had 23 hijackers, 23, people on the listing. And we had the exclusive to the brand to go onto the listing. We should have been the only ones there. Mm-hmm. However, they were selling out to a distributor. The distributor was selling out to other places. Other places would then take it and put it on, even though there was a non-compete. We were the only company allowed to promote their brand on Amazon.
Yeah.
Try regulating that. Try going after that. Well, here's how we did it. Created the product, transparency sticker, done, problem solved. Overnight, problem solved. And you pay a couple of cents.
Yeah.
That's fine. They're special stickers. They're unique stickers. You have to have them on each product. But the second that, let's say that you have 1,000 SKUs or 1,000 products, units, and they don't have the transparency sticker, that's okay. As soon as you sign up, those are grandfathered in, and the new product coming in would have to have it. And anybody who was bringing in product that didn't have those transparency stickers were automatically red flagged. Plus, they gave you your own, and they still do, I believe, your own consultant that you can talk to about the transparency program, which I have found, although they're not meant to do it, if you ask them for help in other areas, they would give you their opinion.
Wow, that's interesting to know.
Yeah, so you don't have to pay huge bucks. You just, that it's a free service except for the cost of the stickers. And people, oh my gosh, it's so much. No, if you've got a $10 bar of soap, okay, yeah, by the time you sticker it, if let's say you're letting Amazon sticker instead of you sticker or print it on the package, and then you've got this, all right, costs start to add up. But if you've got a $50 product, what's pennies for all the protection? What would you pay for the protection?
Yeah, no, I would pay, whatever it took. I mean, especially if I have to protect my brand, there's too much money involved.
Correct. Yeah.
Let me ask you my next question, which is really something that, I see a lot, because you talk about this and you're really the master of this, of really repackaging something, rebranding it and improving on this. But what about the issue that the fact that if you're increasing the cost so much that it's not going to land on page one anymore? Is that ever a concern to you because of that issue?
Nope. If it's done right, you'll be on page one. Like I see it all the time. I can give you one listing right now, go and check it out, and you can see two products, the exact same product. One is $100 more expensive. I think we've already talked about this, but you can go and see the two products, and they're both on page one.
Yeah.
And the average price on page one is around $34 to $44, and these are over $100 and $200.
Yeah.
And they're on page one.
Yeah, I see that as well, but it's harder to find those types of niches as much,
I don't know. Yeah. If you take a look at every niche, every single one, plastic shoe stretcher, you'll see that you've got low end manufacturers coming in. And what I mean by low end, I mean, might be packaged in cello wrap. They usually are accompanied by poorly written listings and really poor imagery. Now and let's say that those are going out at $7.99. Okay. So they're even an add-on product, or maybe not, maybe it's $10 and now, you just compete. Then you see the second layer that is $12.99 to $14.99, and they're a bit better. Probably somebody's taken a course. They may be launching, so they want to keep the product as low as possible. And then you've got this other group, and it's packaged beautifully, even though it's a plastic shoe stretcher, but you can see the quality, the product photographer like really zoned in on the special metals and the special material. And they've brought out the benefits of this. They've done proper research. And this one's $17.99. The $17.99 product would be bought well above the other two. Now, maybe not with a plastic shoe stretcher, I would think, but let's say it's a beard comb, which I have tested out, and it worked. So I don't know how it got to this, but the original case study I did was a 79-cent beard comb. And I have it right here, a 79-cent beard comb. Okay. I got it off of Amazon.
Yeah.
I don't think the manufacturer knew what he was doing, but he listed it at 79 cents. I got it. I got two others. One was $11.95. One was $17.95. And the difference, the best one was in a leather case with a slit for credit cards. And now that same one is going, I think they might have heard my podcast, because now the three of them, one is like $7.99. The other one, it's up there, and the other one is over $30.
Wow. Yeah.
And to prove my case, the one that was packaged really cheaply at 79 cents was doing nothing. It did $3,000 a month. Wow. The other one was doing 15, and the other one, which was much more expensive, 79. So how much did that cost them? If they were selling it for 79, how much did that cost them? I don't know. Maybe it was a misprint, but anyways, even at $17.95, this was under $1, right? So they put 40 cents or 50 cents into their product packaging. Yeah. And now they're selling it now over $30. You can just go online and check out beard combs and see the ones I'm talking about.
That's incredible. That's incredible. I know you've talked about that sort of strategy with knives and stuff like that before as well. Yeah.
It works with anything. Chair glides.
Mm-hmm.
Chair glides. One will be, a couple bucks. Well, mine will be, 10, 12. Why are people buying? So, and I'll give you a really great example. Especially like in the pet side, right? So we were buying some pet products the other day for my dog, and I saw the exact same product. Mm-hmm. And let's say one was at 10, 15, and 25. What one did I buy? And I'm in the business. What one did I buy?
I'd say the most expensive.
Yeah, because I bought it for my pet and I wanted to make sure it was good. But I'm so stupid because I'm in the business and I know it's the same one.
Well, it works, right?
It works.
Yeah. Let me ask you about this, because I've seen a lot of reports about this in terms of buying items from your seller account. Because you have to be very careful in terms of leaving reviews or returns. Because I personally bought a lot more from my seller account because we need so much stock and supplies. Is that ever a concern for you?
It hasn't been. What have you heard about this?
Well, I think I'm not sure if it was Rich Goldstein or some of the other lawyer groups that I was in, where they were complaining about the fact that you have to be very careful, especially if you buy a product and you could be selling something in a similar category, and you leave a negative review or a medium review, it could be considered review manipulation, even.
Yeah. Possibly. I could see that. Like I could see Amazon and, their poorly trained customer service or their algorithm picking it up. Possibly. I mean, you can go out and get another account, a buyer account. You can have 1,000 buyer accounts. So, if you want to go and if you don't feel safe about it, I buy a lot, and it's all through my one main account.
Mm-hmm. That's amazing. And the other thing I was going to ask you about in terms of your design and what are you seeing in terms of like for 2021 and as we go forward? Is there any new trends, anything different that people should watch out for?
Well, I had Afalabi on the podcast, Afalabi Oricon on the podcast, and Kevin King was just on, and both of them agree, and I have to agree with what they're saying. If you're going and you're trying to get a plastic shoe stretcher that everybody else is selling, 7 people, or the garlic press, or the silicone spatula, first of all, you're probably going to limit because the markets could be saturated, or because you're just setting yourself up for competition. Product innovation, I would say, is the biggest change that I've seen. When I got into the Amazon game a few years back, I think it was 13 or 14, I got involved. I think it was back then. There's people I've talked to, like Kevin is 2004 or something. Mm-hmm. But anyways, I think that's when my buddy got me involved with it. And it used to be, you just find a product, you slap a brand on it. If you packaged it properly, you didn't even have to really package it properly back then, but then you had to, it became perception. So perception was a really big thing. And then your PPC and the way that you were advertising and doing the video advertising and taking advantage of one of the 30 different types of advertising you can do now on PPC. Then it was external traffic. So, how do you drive traffic? How do you drive traffic or build off Amazon? Well, I really do think that that plastic shoe stretcher has to have some form of product innovation now. It's got to do something that the others can't do. Mm-hmm. I think that's where, the money is going to be spent.
Yeah. I want to ask you something that I don't know why, just nobody even talks about much, but I see a steady increase in sales on it every month, is the Amazon storefront. Yeah, it's just nobody talks about it in terms of what strategies and optimizing it. But what are your thoughts on that?
I love it because when you drive people over to your product listing, you get a white background, you get 7 images. So everybody, plus there's tons and tons and tons of competition through sponsored ads, above it, below it, to the side of it, everything. Well, you can take a product listing and put it as your second layer or whatever it is. Let's say you have a very dynamic looking page. And you could do this on your homepage, but let's say you want to drive people over to your, bully stick page, your pet products, right? You can drive people over there, and then you can see your listings. And now it's an incredible photo or video, and it's a website. You can tell people exactly what you want. It's very creative. Instead of going over to, a bully stick that's lying on its side or up, down, white, it does get there eventually, but people that click on that, they know that they want the product when they click through to your product listing, and you'll probably be able to convert a sale. And that's where, like, if I'm doing a lot of traffic, I'll play around with it. You could either have a landing, like I always like to have a landing page, mm-hmm. or drive it over my storefront, but landing page first, get them to do something, because I want to get the tire kickers off. I don't want to drive a ton of traffic over and nobody buy, and then get them to come over and buy on your product listing, or drive it over to your storefront. The storefront will click over, and then you can get them to go to your product listing. So you get rid of your tire kickers there. Mm-hmm. So those are the kind of the strategies that we've used. I've seen one of my clients that didn't tell me they were doing this, send 180,000 emails out and got a ton of tire kickers. And they went from a very high, well into the 20s, maybe a 30, down to like, it was like 4% conversion rate. Wow. Because of that. And it affected their sales for a long time.
Interesting. What do you think of this strategy from in an email perspective about pushing people onto your Amazon listing in terms of sending out an email versus your own Shopify site?
So what was that?
In terms of an email strategy of sending people to your Amazon listing versus your own Shopify site. Does Amazon even reward you for that? Do they know it's coming from sort of an email?
So you're saying that you're driving sales from an email over to your Amazon site.
I was considering that as a strategy. It's not something I've tried yet, but I was considering that.
Why not do that? And I don't know. I can't tell you about that, but why not? If you've got a link in there and it's going to drive people over to your product listing, you can definitely try that. I mean, I do that for our services. I'll send out an email and get people to click on and then go into our funnel. But yeah, you could do that. But one of the things I always try to do is when you do get that person to go over to Amazon and they do buy your product, get them to Amazon. So Amazon, likes you for that. And you get rewarded for that a little bit, maybe in ranking, maybe not. But then drive them over to your Shopify site. So I like, driving traffic over to the e-com site.
Yeah.
And there's ways that you can also get people to come back to Amazon. So maybe they buy shampoo or soap, and they, on their QR code that they have on their insert, drives them over to your website. Website talks to them about a really great added value. Just maybe it could be you're trying to get their email address, of course, but here's a scent that they don't have on Amazon, and you're going to give it to them for free.
Mm-hmm.
Well, if I have a subscription-based model, I'll give out free soap all day long. And then when they go to checkout, maybe like there's another offer there too that gets them over to checkout, that if they buy two, they get one free, whatever it is, but some sort of value added. Then when they get to checkout, there's a code that you can give them to go back to your Amazon store for an additional X number of %. So not only do you get the sale, they come over, you upsell, downsell, cross sell, and then you get them into the store, and then you can provide them with a coupon code to drive them back to Amazon.
That's pure genius. It's like a merry-go-round right there.
Yeah.
Well, listen, Norm, thank you very much for appearing on the Fireside Chat. It's been so informative, and you've got, and honestly, you're like the nicest person, and we all appreciate that very much. Thank you.
Hey, no problem at all. It was a pleasure being here.